I now invite anyone who would like to come forward for Together Time.
You can't leave me up here by myself. I see a whole bunch of kids there.
I'm young at heart.
Excellent. So hi, y'all. Thank you for being here. So I'm Reverend Christine, if there's any of you who don't know me. I don't bite. You can come closer if you wish, but you don't have to also. We're all about consent, all right? So I have a weird question for you all, and it might sound pretty odd. Am I my country? Am I my country? Am I from my country? But am I just like my country in every way? Do I agree with everything with my country? No. Do I agree with some things, maybe? Yeah, maybe. I might disagree with all of it. It's possible. So I want to tell you all a story because I had a really interesting childhood and teenage years. So I didn't grow up in the United States. Isn't that interesting? I had a lot of privilege. I'm going to name. We should all acknowledge when we've got privilege. But my dad had a very interesting job. He was an accountant, and he was in charge of doing accounting things overseas. I lived in Spain. I know. Now you all are going, okay, she's cooler than I thought, right? I know. I did. I know. So it was a very interesting, and a lot of what I know now in the world, and a lot of what I see in the world is because of growing up in a different country. It was very, very transformative time. How many of you have lived in another country for a little while? Lived? Lived? Wow. Okay, we have a lot of privilege here. That's amazing. So you all know what it's like, right? You see the world a different way. I want to tell you a couple stories that happened when I lived over there because the question of am I my country was really relevant. Because when I was walking around as an American, and for some reason everyone always knows if you're an American. Truth? Truth.
Not an ugly American.
Well, I was trying not to be an ugly American, but there were plenty of ugly Americans that were also defining what Americans looked like, too. So I was also not my country in that way. But I was a teenager. My sister and I would go downtown by ourselves because that's what you did. I don't know why. But people would yell at us because of things that my country had done. So, for example, when I was there, we had a president, Reagan, you can tell how old I am, who was building a lot of nuclear missiles. And there were some people who were very not happy about it. But do you know who they yelled at for it? Me. I was 14. I didn't build the missiles. Another really scary thing happened when I was there, where the United States did a bombing, which is really scary, of Libya. Okay, so you're kind of like, okay, I didn't plan that, I didn't know it, but I was also yelled at a lot for that too, because the planes that took off from the bases, the U.S. bases in Spain. And they said that they were going to retaliate against anyone, and that was in Spain. So people were at risk because of things that my country did. but am I my country? So it was a really interesting opportunity for me to learn that I often outside represent my country. Many people look at somebody from a country and might think that they believe everything that their country says. People might look and say, you're an American, therefore all of these things fit. It might have been interesting to see, am I my country when President Obama was in office? Am I my country when President Trump was in office? No. So I want us to remember this. The reason why I'm telling this story is we're going to try to avoid painting wide swaths of people with the same ideals. There are some governments that are doing some pretty rough things right now. And there are just some 14-year-olds walking around trying to have a life who are not their government. And lots of other people who may agree or disagree. And I think sometimes when we want to simplify things, we put everyone in the same bucket. These people are good, these people are bad, they were good yesterday, but they're bad today, and we want to make sense of it. And it's much more complicated to remember that, Christine, you are who you are. And Keturah, you are who you are. And Sarah, you are who you are. We are individuals and we are not our country. We may be impacted by our country. But so the next time that we think that we have the hesitation to say, oh, all of these people are like this or they believe this, I want you to think, am I my country? And if the answer is no for you, the answer might be no for them. So thank you, kids, for dealing with some heavy stuff there. But you did get to hear that I got to go to Spain. I pretended to learn how to flamenco dance. But my favorite food was paella. So thank you all for this story. I appreciate you all. We can stay back, and if anyone needs to go into the little person, the little extra help room, you can watch service there. Thank you all for joining us.